Thanks so much for joining in. In this class, I wanted to go over 3 different ways that you can create a glowing effect in Procreate. So this is the sample illustration that I made, and so now let's create one from scratch. Okay, so here we have a brand new canvas. This is an 8x10, 300 DPI, and I've got my top layer over here. It's set at multiply, so that way when I draw underneath, I can still see what I have. And let's start by just creating a background for our art. So I'm going to start with a darker blue. All right, so now let's get to our kind of glowing part of our pumpkin. So to add my eyes over there, I wanted to start, I'm going to get a new layer, and then we'll pick kind of a yellow color for that. Try this one and see how this looks like. One, and I'm going to go all the way where my outline is over here. And while we're painting these in, I also wanted to mention, if you wanted to learn how to paint with watercolors, if you also use watercolors, I have a Skillshare channel where I teach watercolor classes, and I'll also be teaching picture book classes coming up soon over there at the end of the year and starting next year. And so I did do this same piece as a watercolor too. Here, I'll actually show you. So I did do it as a watercolor as well. And so if you want to learn how to paint this as a watercolor, join me on Skillshare. I'll put the link on the bottom. And so now we have our eyes, and then we'll create another. Can you tell I really like my clipping masks? So I'll create my clipping mask, and then I just wanted a little bit of an orange color because there is this dimension, you know, with the thickness of the pumpkin. And so I have my clipping mask on, and I'll create that with slightly of a more darker yellow. There we go. And if you wanted to lock that, I could add just a little bit more, just a hair, just a little bit more glow even inside of my eyeball if I wanted to. If you wanted to, you don't have to. All right, so now let's look at how to add the glow. All right, so one way that you can do your glow effect is you can take your layer, make sure it's not selected, or make sure the pixels are not locked, and then go into your blur, and then use your blur tool to create a glow in there. But sometimes, you know, especially if you're doing a lot of hand drawing, then that kind of looks a little bit slick. And so personally, I like to just hand draw the glow. So I'm going to delete that one and create a layer underneath over here. And so I'm creating the layer underneath. And so you could grab, if you wanted a brush with some texture, you could do that. So let's see, in my original drawing, I had used this one. And so I'm grabbing kind of a yellow from somewhere around over here. And this just gives it a little bit more of a rustic look. And then if you wanted to play with your settings, you could play with your settings and see if there was one that really stood out for you. But a lot of times I just kind of, depending what you're doing. But right now I just like my normal, just a little bit of a halo. Okay, so for our third way of adding our glow is kind of a mixture between the two. And so I wanted to take the layer that I painted earlier. We gotta just, I duplicate, and then you need to release the pixels. And then we're going to go into our blur and add a little bit of shading in there. And then actually I want just the second one to add a little bit more. So I'm going to duplicate it one more time. Maybe we can even see how it looks if I'm going to change it into add and then bring my opacity down all the way to 40. And then let's just try to add another one and see. Sometimes it's a little bit just trial and error. Just make it a little bit softer glow. And then take that off. And then I'm going to merge, actually, I need to make this into the add too. Here. There. Just double check and see. Maybe that needs to be a little bit less there. Okay, so now I like the adjustments and the amount of glow that I have. We'll merge those down. And then, as I said earlier, this to me looks really, really slick and smooth. And so what you could do is you could use just a mask layer and work in your mask with the black. And then you can grab kind of whatever texture brush you want. Since we've been using this kind of wood grain, I will select that. Oops. I'm going to select that again from the Woodland Wonderland. And then what I can do is just add a little bit of texture in here. So it's not so perfect and glowy, I guess you could say. And so I'm just adding a little bit of grittiness to my glow, and that way it kind of matches everything else that I've done. And so now if we look at it up close, you can see the texture underneath, or on the pumpkins that we were doing. And then the advantage of doing this in a mask instead of your actual painting, if I mess it up, I can always, take my mask out. I can delete what I did on my mask and then redo it again without affecting my actual layer. And so it gives you kind of an extra layer of just safety when you're working. So then it's kind of up to you what you like. So there's that. And then here's a different way of doing it, whichever way you like. And then we just need to add a little bit more details to our leaves and the stem. And obviously our crow has no feet over here, so our crow needs some feet. All right, and now we've got our nice little glow on our pumpkin. We've got our crow ready, and then the sky looks a little bit empty, and you could either write Happy Halloween over there, or then if you don't want to do hand lettering, you can just add some. I added some bats in mine. If you wanted to do a second video where we write Happy Halloween and we work on our hand lettering, we can totally do that. And if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.